Let's talk about program 16b for a minute. We're going to ask the user to enter a lowercase word only, not a sentence. We're not going to error trap it. We're not going to make sure it's lowercase. We're not going to check to see if there's a space in the word. We're just going to assume that when I grade it, I actually type a lowercase word. And the goal of this program is to see if the word that is entered is a palindrome. What is a palindrome? Well, that's a word that is the same forwards and backwards. So mom, whether you read it from left to right or right to left, it's identical. Dad, whether you read it from left to right or right to left, it's the same. Race car, if you don't put a space between that, is the same. You read it left to right, you read it right to left, it's identical. All right, we're going to continue the good habits we had when we were in class. So start your program with your opening comments. Don't forget to pound include IOStream. Replit does not automatically provide using namespace standard, so please type it. That way we can just say cout instead of std : cout. Type using namespace standard. All right, no constants to declare. Don't forget the comments before each of your functions. Well, what kind of functions are we going to use? Well, just like we started in program 4, we're 4a actually, we're going to display your info. You know, all those cout statements that display the asterisks on the screen, so when I'm running your program, I remember whose it is. Get data, we're just going to get one word, that's all it is. You can make it a void function with an ampersand to return that word, or you could make it a value returning function that returns a string variable containing the word. There is one other function that I'm not displaying here in step 6. We're going to make a calculations function. Okay, so it says and any other function. So hang on, more on the calculations function later. So display output function, we're going to need that, and we're going to display what the word was and whether or not it is or was a palindrome. In the main function, any variables you're going to use in the main function, declare them. There might be some variables that are local to another function, and in that case, just declare it and initialize it in that local function. It's not much of a menu, but I want to be able to test this program with more than one word. And you should test it with more than one word as well. Because sometimes I can type in dad and it works the first time, and then I come back and type in dad the second time and it doesn't work if you're not careful with what you do with your variables. So there's a little hint for something to watch out for. But certainly I want to test it with something that's not a palindrome, something that is a palindrome, and maybe a third time with something else that is a palindrome. And I don't want to have to click the run button in Replit each time to do it. So this simple menu lets me test the palindrome, and finally when I'm done entering words, I can quit. All right, so make a menu to do that. You don't have to have a menu function. If you wish to have a menu function, that is fine. That is your choice. At the end of main, don't forget we're going to have return 0. Even though Replit doesn't require it, that's fine. Alright, so after the end of the main function, let's do a comment line of subtraction signs to separate the main function from all the other functions. Get data, as we said, is just going to ask for the word and return it, whichever way you wish. And yes, back to the calculations function. So what I want you to do is I'm going to talk about some algorithms in a moment. But you're going to take that word and you're going to test to see if it's a palindrome. You're going to create a Boolean variable which would be best declared in calculations function since it's local. Or you can pass it, actually. Either way, you can do it in the main function and pass it to this one. That's fine as well. So what I would like you to do then is take that word, do a test, and depending on the results of the test, I would like you to have a Boolean variable which, since we're testing for palindrome, I always think Boolean variable name should have a verb in it. So is palindrome is a good name. Please don't abbreviate it. And you're going to assign it a value of true or false. Then we're going to pass the word and the value of the Boolean variable to display output. We're going to echo out what the word was. And then we're going to tell the user if it was a palindrome, so that means we need if-else statements in the display output. And please do Boolean Zen. Hopefully you've got something in your notes or your memory about Boolean Zen. All right, then we're going to do 2 lines of comment lines of equal signs to signify it's the end of our program like we always did. Obviously, we can't turn it into the T directory, and I just didn't want to retype the description just to change this. When you're done with it, turn it in, by clicking the submit button in Replit. All right, so let's take a quick look at a word that could be a palindrome. So race car. I said I was going to talk about algorithms. So let's talk about algorithms for a moment. One algorithm would be to compare the first letter and the last letter, the second letter and the second to last letter, the third letter, the third to last letter, etc., all the way through the program. But if you take that approach, which certainly works, what you would need to do or want to do is what you need to do is a while loop with a compound Boolean expression, so you quit as soon as one of those is not the same and it's false. But there's an easier algorithm I suggest that you use, and that is you just make a for loop that counts backwards. And so we're going to grab the last letter and make another string variable called backwards or word backwards. And the last letter is going to become the first letter. The second to last letter is going to become the second letter. The third to last letter is going to become the third letter, etc., all the way through the loop. And when we're done, we've got two string variables. If the original word and the word backwards are the same, then it's a palindrome and we set our Boolean variable to true. If it's not, it's not. That, to me, is the simpler of the two algorithms I just described, and that is the one that I suggest you use. All right, have fun with this.